Society as a whole overall encourages the idea of getting into a career path that allows you to retire young or early. But did you know there's actually certain astrological placements you may have that encourage and actually say you should never retire? And so in this video, I'm going to cover what these points and placements you may have in your chart that indicate that this is someone who should never retire. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabelle, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we are talking about the placements you may have in your chart that indicate you should never retire. These are people who need a career in order to maintain their energetic, personal fulfillment in their life. In today's video specifically, I am going to cover the two major aspects of our chart that play into the conversation of career, the placements you may have in your chart that indicate that you should never retire, and practical tips for applying this knowledge. So if you are someone who not only likes to take in the information of astrology, but know what to do with it, watch through to the end of this video where I'm going to share some of my top tips for actually applying this knowledge based on whether or not you have these placements. And before I dive in, before we get any further, be sure to book a reading in the link in the description below, where in 1 hour we can dive deep into any and everything about your chart, whether that's love astrology, career astrology, relationships, manifestation, transits, sky's the limit. Learn more down below. I recently got a question because I show all these offerings, these different kinds of readings, such as love readings, career readings. People often ask, which kind of reading should I book? These are all just ideas for what you can do in your 1 hour session. So if any of the options, such as a travel reading, a health reading, a love reading, or numerous of these sound interesting to you, book a 1 hour reading in the link in the description below. The only other option is 30-minute readings that I offer specifically for the new and full moons, which as of filming this video on the 9th of April, we are in a full moon in Libra. So if you want your horoscope for the full moon in Libra, you can book a 30-minute horoscope reading down in the same link in the description below. Now, with all that being said, that long spiel out of the way, let's dive into what are the specific placements you may have in your chart that indicate that you are someone who should never retire. And more specifically, first to start off, what does career astrology really mean? What are we really looking at when it comes to career astrology, and how do these indicate whether or not we should retire? Astrology, there are something called the houses, or there is something called the houses, to better phrase that. The houses represent the 12 different areas of our life, such as our sense of self, our relationships, our family, our community. And 2 of those houses have a lot to do, in my personal interpretation, and as many astrologers would probably agree, but maybe differ slightly, with career. The 10th house and the 6th house both have to do with forms of work and career. Specifically, the 10th house, which if you use the Placidus system, is going to be indicated by the MC line, also known as the midheaven, represents our career image and our profession, what we can best be recognized for, and what profession we potentially may like being in. There's also, though, the 6th house. The 6th house has a lot to do with our daily health habits and daily routines, but it's also with that our work and service. So the 10th house has more to do with our profession, our appearance, and more entrepreneurship almost, or authoritative roles in career. Whereas the 6th house encompasses our work, our 9-to-5 jobs. For those who work routinely more so, rather than the idea of creating your own schedule, this also ties in. Regardless, both these come into play oftentimes in career, because a career is something we do on a day-to-day basis. And it is something that we have our own image within, a profession that we are working towards, even if that is something very mundane, such as being a server. This is still a profession in some way. So the 6th house and the 10th house are both houses that we take into account when talking about career astrology. Now, what is it exactly about these houses that can tell us what we need in a career and how much we should work? Regardless of how your chart is set up, everyone has the 6th and 10th house in your birth chart. You have your 6th house cusp and 10th house cusp, also potentially known as your midheaven if you're using the Placidus house system. If you're using whole sign, your 10th house cusp and your midheaven will be different. But regardless, we both have these. We all have these in our chart, which all indicate what our expectation is of our career and our work. But if you are specifically someone who has a planet in your 10th or 6th house, I have noticed, based off of experience, based off personal life, based off of working with clients and having ongoing coaching clients, that these are people who should never retire. Because when you have a planet in your 10th or 6th house, regardless of whether it's your sun, your Mars, your Mercury, these are people who need to constantly have work. To put that into more specific terms, if you are someone who has a planet in your 6th house, these people rely on having routine and schedules in their life. So regardless of the planet, they do need to feel this sense of routine, feeling that they have something they're always showing up to. And oftentimes when people who have a 6th house placement, when they move through life, we are learning to adapt to having work as part of our time slot, part of our daily schedule. And so to have that empty time, what I've noticed for those who retire, becomes very stressful to this 6th house placement, because all of their time that they used to fill and find fulfillment in, the ways that they learn to find fulfillment in using their time and finding that in their schedule, is now empty. And so for that reason, a 6th house planet is very likely going to find frustration if they retire. Does that mean they can truly absolutely not retire? Potentially not. There's going to just be a very dominant struggle of trying to find ways to fill your time, especially if you are a fire or air 6th house placement, I would argue. And also additionally, I would argue this is especially important for those whose moon or Mars are in their 6th house, because they need to be doing things, they need to take action specifically on a daily basis. They probably find that their work is a great channel for their physical energy and for feeling a sense of movement in their life. And so if their work is taken away when you retire, this creates a great gapping space. And this can be very hard for a 6th house placement to navigate. And similar story goes for the moon sign. The difference is you're really having to redefine what your emotional fulfillment is. Regardless, your key takeaway number 1 is, if you have a planet in your 6th house, identify the fact that having a planet in your 6th house means you really need daily routine. You really need schedule. You're naturally going to prioritize that. And your work is 100% a part of that, regardless of how much you work, where you work, if you work virtually, or if you work in person. This is a part of your daily life. And so if you are to retire, or if you're someone who's retired and feeling frustration, it's because you have emptied your time. And so your 6th house energy doesn't know how to fulfill itself. It lost one of its major fulfillments. The second aspect of career astrology and placements that should never retire is the 10th house. And this one, I would argue even more, really does indicate you should never retire. I would take more of the assertive Mercury and Aries, direct, straightforward, and somewhat extreme opinion on this, that a 10th house placement should not retire, because the 10th house is the house of career and recognition, as well as profession. And so if you have your sun, your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, your Jupiter, well, mainly your big 5, so Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, or North Node and South Node in your 10th house, you heavily need a career and profession for fulfillment. I have an older brother who has his sun in his 10th house of career, and I can already project that he's going to be the guy I know who's still 70, still 80, and still working. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Because with a planet, so a major planet specifically, in your 10th house, you find fulfillment of this energy through your profession. You need your profession to channel this energy. And this can technically be channeled through finding recognition through other means. But given that the 10th house has so much to do with career profession, it is most easy for these people to access the fulfillment of certain planetary energies through their career. And this also ties into, I had a client who had some planets in her 10th house who retired a few years ago, and she was finding that she really struggled with fulfillment. And while she appreciated the fact that there is more time on her hands, she was also struggling with a feeling of stagnation because her 10th house energy didn't know how to find fulfillment. There was nowhere for her to get this energy recognized or to channel it. So point being, as your key takeaway, if you have planets in your 10th house, you need a career to channel this energy. You need recognition or a profession where you can channel this. Now, with that in mind, identifying if you're someone who has these placements, what do you do with that information? I want to take the last few minutes of this video to talk about how exactly you apply this. Does this mean that you truly shouldn't retire? Should you stay in a job forever if you hate it? Not necessarily. So I want to cover a few tips on what I would do to implement this knowledge. The simplest first thing that I'd recommend if you are identifying that you have these placements in your chart is to observe how your career is personally fulfilling you now. If you're currently working, or if you're someone who has retired, how do you fulfill this energy? Really identifying all the ways you have and do currently fulfill this energy is key to finding fulfillment in your birth chart and working with this energy, regardless of whether you're planning to retire or already retired. I do know I actually have overall an older age demographic following this channel. So if you're someone specifically who is already retired, but then turns out you have these placements, the best thing you can do to work with this is to find other channels by identifying the energies. So what is the specific planet in your 6th or 10th house? Is it your moon? Is it your sun? Is it your Venus? How does this energy get channeled? How has it been channeled? Write out all the ways in detail that you have fulfilled this energy before. And then the second step I'd recommend for that, both for those who have retired already or planning on it or trying to decide whether or not they should retire, is asking yourself, what is the root value that brings me fulfillment to this energy? For example, just to generalize, so to say, let's say you have a sun in Gemini in 10th house and you have already retired and you found that your job as a data analytics was really fulfilling, but now you don't know what to do with that. Maybe a sun in Gemini, at their core, the reason you loved your job was because you were working with research. You were working with curiosity. You were always learning something new and you liked the feeling of expanding your limits. So then once you have those core themes, then you ask yourself, how could I channel this in a new way? What are things that I can do for curiosity? In this case of a sun in Gemini in 10th house, how can I learn something new? Finding ways to channel this energy in different means is essential if you're planning on still retiring. But overall, as a key takeaway, as much as this is not as much of a, I would say, practical video as I normally do, I did want to share this thought because I do notice overall that if you do have one of these placements, contemplating the potential of not retiring could be valuable for you because some people need more work than others, and that is going to be dependent off your astrological birth chart. I could also arguably add as a final thought that if you have strong Virgo energies potentially as well, or Capricorn, you may also want to look at what planets you have there as well, and that could indicate that you need more tasks, need work to feel a sense of structure and goals in your life. But overall, let me know in the comments below. Do you have one of these placements? Do you have planets in your 10th or 6th house? Did you retire? Are you planning on retiring? How much do you enjoy your work, or did you enjoy work? Do you feel like retiring is or was the right move for you? Did this resonate? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if this video helped you understand your chart better and your unique needs. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. If you have more questions regarding your astrological birth chart, if you want to learn more about whether or not you should truly retire or your career path or how you can manifest something into your life, sky's the limit with my readings. So book a reading in the link in the description below and learn more in that same link in the description below. And drop a comment if you have any questions that you cannot get answered on that page. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Sincerely hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name's Isabelle. I'm from my heart to yours. Namaste.